my name's Rachel and I'm super excited to make another appearance on Doberman Planet. I'm a former professional extreme skier and I now own and run a ski travel business, You Thrive. I also have a lovely 3-year-old rescue Doberman, Hank. Are you excited to be back too? Oh yes, you're gonna wanna lay on me. So as part of what I do, I travel a lot to places like France, Italy, Switzerland, and I found a way to make Hank an awesome travel buddy with me. Having such an anxious and full of energy rescue, I never thought that we would be able to go out in public and have such a relaxed dog. This technique has genuinely changed Hank's experience of the world. It's amazing that we can go out for beautiful hikes, take the train back, travel over to France, come and enjoy a lovely meal with the family in the pub. It's just opened the world up to Hank, and to see him so relaxed is just really, really heartwarming. And we're going to do the same with your Doberman right now on Doberman Planet. This technique involves a settle mat, or in this case, a yoga mat. It's just going to help your dog relax and just get rid of any anxiety. It's going to be much easier to train them to relax on a yoga mat than it is out and about in a busy place on a bus or a train. But don't worry, we'll show you how to get rid of the yoga mat and move away from it. It's just a training tool at this stage so that we can get our Dobermans traveling very relaxed on public transport. So start with your yoga mat at home. What I'll do is lay the yoga mat out in the living room and I'll drop Chicken on the yoga mat to attract Hank over to the yoga mat and think that this is a pretty exciting place to be. He'll probably stay on the yoga mat waiting for more Chicken, and anytime Hank lays down, sits on the yoga mat, he gets more Chicken. And then we want to look for signs that they're starting to relax. So if Hank rolls his hips to the side, show that he's starting to relax in his lay down, he gets more Chicken. If he puts his head down on the mat, he gets more Chicken. If he closes his eyes, he gets more Chicken. We're looking for any signs showing that your Doberman is relaxing on the yoga mat. I will also just drop Chicken randomly on the yoga mat, sort of every 5 seconds and 12 seconds and 20 seconds. And I just kind of walk up and down past the yoga mat. It makes some movements, and anytime Hank is staying still and staying relaxed while I'm moving around him, he gets a reward. Now, Dobermans are incredibly smart and they'll figure it out pretty quickly what you want them to do. But in Hank's case, a little too smart sometimes, and he fakes it sometimes. He knows, oh, if I put my head down on the mat, she's going to give me Chicken. It's not a genuine relaxation, it's just him wanting more Chicken and knowing how to get it. So you know your Doberman better than anyone, so you read the signs properly, and they only get rewarded when they are genuinely showing displays of relaxation. At first you might only be able to get your Doberman to lay on the mat for 30 seconds, and that's totally normal. But you can very quickly build up to 60 seconds, minute 30, 2 minutes, and so on. And while your Doberman is laying on the mat relaxing, I like to move around so that they get used to movement being around them. I'll pace back and forth, I'll go sit on the couch, and I might even try and disappear out of sight. So it took us quite a while to build up to Hank letting me leave the room. The other thing it took us a while to build up to was me going upstairs. So as soon as I went upstairs, Hank wanted to come with me. So I had to start by just putting my foot on the first step, going back and rewarding him. Stepping up onto the first step, going back to reward him. I'm here, guys. Consistency is key with this. We did it every day for 6 weeks. I know it is such a pain, but it is so worth it. Even if you only do 60 seconds or 2 minutes, we strongly recommend that you do this every day, just so that you can get into the habit and the Doberman knows exactly what to do. So now that you've got your Doberman relaxing on the mat at home and you have a pretty good idea of how long they can relax on the mat for, it's time to head outside. It doesn't necessarily have to be public transport. It can be a pub, a restaurant, a park, or a party. Now, we stayed very consistent with our training, again, getting Hank used to public places and relaxing in them. So 3 times a week, we made sure that we went to a public place. So it was very tough for us. We had to go for cake or go to the pub at least 3 times a week to help Hank get used to this. Training is tough sometimes. I began bringing the yoga mat rolled up with me onto buses and trains, and I would just roll it out on the ground and Hank would know exactly what to do. He would just lay straight down on the mat on the train and just relax and enjoy the train ride. When we first did this technique, Hank was very reliant on his yoga mat, but it was so effective at getting him to relax and be calm in public areas. And we remained consistent with the training. After about 7 or 10 times of being on the buses and trains with the yoga mat, I didn't need to bring the yoga mat anymore. Hank seemed to know the environment, understand that he could relax in that environment, and so we would just get on the train and he would just lay down without the mat. So this brings us to our third step, and this is something only you will know when your Doberman is ready to do. We can remove the mat. When removing the mat, we also like to visit areas that we've already practiced in with the mat. So Hank is familiar with this pub, we've been here a few times. We don't come here all the time, not all the time, sometimes. But Hank already knows the environment, he's familiar with it, I know that he's comfortable in it and can relax in it. So removing the mat isn't too much of a test for him. I wouldn't like to go somewhere to remove the mat for the first time, which is completely new for Hank. So at this stage, Hank is good on the train for about 30 minutes or so without his mat. And when we go out to the pub, he usually is pretty good for 2 to 3 hours now. Without the mat, he does usually get a bit restless after about an hour. But if I take his mat with him, he will happily rest for 2 to 3 hours. So when we go for dinner with the family or we go to the pub to watch a rugby match, I usually take his mat with us anyway, just so that he's more comfortable and more relaxed in the environment. Now, it's very important that you're the one who ends the session, who decides when to leave. Dobermans are extremely intelligent and they can be quite dominant, and you don't want your Doberman being the one who dictates when you leave. So if Hank has had enough, I usually just get him to lay down and settle again, and then wait a few minutes, and when he's in a relaxed, calm state, then we leave. The exception to this rule, of course, is if he's scared or nervous, if there was a naughty dog on the table next to us, or maybe a loud group of drunk people on the bus, and he wasn't too sure, then of course I would leave ASAP. So just a note about flying. Obviously, I own and run a ski travel business, so we do travel a lot. But to get over to Europe, we get to use the Eurotunnel, and Hank is super comfortable using that. But I haven't flown with Hank. Here in the UK, we're not really allowed to fly with dogs with you in the cabin, so he would have to go in the cargo hold, and I just don't feel comfortable doing that at this stage. The only downfall to using a yoga mat is that Hank thinks that every yoga mat is for him to lay on. So when we go out in the park and there's people doing yoga, it's pretty entertaining watching Hank walk over and settle down on their mat. But this is a small price to pay for a technique which I think is extremely invaluable for us.
Whew, guys, Rachel has definitely found a really great method for training her Doberman Hank to travel with her all over the world. And even with a dog who is certainly an anxious rescue adult Doberman when she got him. And you can even use this with your own personal Doberman, even if you aren't traveling, by maybe you just want a calm Doberman that's great out in public places, in crowded places like a dog-friendly restaurant, for example. This is really cool stuff. Do you have a unique story or situation, or even maybe a cool training technique that's really helped you out with your Doberman that you'd like to share with the world? If so, Doberman Planet would love to hear from you and possibly even feature you on an upcoming episode. Just head on over to dobermanplanet.com/tellmystory and tell us a little bit about yourself, your dog, and what you'd like to share with the world. We've got to stick together, guys, as Doberman owners, and one amazing way to really give back is to just help others out there with their Doberman. So head on over to that URL on your screen. The link will be in the description down below as well. And hopefully we'll see you on the next Doberman Planet episode. And of course, your dog too. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, guys. Keep being great Doberman breed ambassadors like always. And of course, I'm definitely gonna see you on the next one, right? Right.